Hello there, Lynx here, and welcome to Lost Girl. We have the 4th episode. This time I remembered what I planned to do, so switching the color of the lights. Maybe it's because a different day of recording, but yeah. Let's check out, because we are 1 week later apparently. Let's check out what exactly are we going to do on this meeting. Clearly a date, let's face it. A little over a week passed without much incident. Serena spent a lot more time at home trying to study for an exam she knew she was all too unprepared for at the end of the week. But you might still pass it, right? I understand if you have like a limited amount of approaches, but it's university. It doesn't really happen that often. I mean, sure, the amount is limited, but I would say not very much. At least in my case it was. Okay, here is the first date, second, third, fourth, fifth. You can approach all of those. Maybe not all of those, but I think in some cases you could. All of the dates, if you failed, you could go the other day and so on, right? Some lectures would be like, yeah, only 3 of those 5 you can be here and try to pass and whatever. Anyway, she will manage. Fortunately, due to the hours this week she spent in her room crying and giving herself a headache as she devoured her textbook and notes, she was able to pass with a high B. Not bad. A much higher grade than she expected. She studied, so of course. Between studying and going to classes, she really didn't have much time to spend on formulating her novel or going to the library. She did manage to formulate a bit more of an outline and a potential synopsis, but writing it out, well, that was a different story. She did go to the Labyrinthe one evening after class, last Wednesday. But if she was being honest, it wasn't for any reason other than she was feeling lonely. Also, why am I having this in a full screen? I want to see the game being recorded as well. After spending so much time with Layla lately, and then going for days without it, it left her feeling quite alone and empty inside. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does feel like that when you talk, for example, with someone, like, basically on a daily basis, and then you are like, okay, today it doesn't happen for some reason. You're like, holy crap, what is this emptiness? It's so true. She was so busy with school that she was able to keep herself occupied, but all the while she felt this pit inside of her that needed to be filled, even if only to sit next to Layla reading for a few hours. She managed to make it through the rest of the week without seeing Layla, attempting to focus on school and reading help with inspiration for her novel, but she was getting rather antsy after not seeing her for a while. Where is she? She had made it to the park about 30 minutes early. Maybe that's the problem why she's not there? And there was nothing there but shadow trees and lit lamp posts. She heard a few crickets chirp in the early autumn breeze, the leaves beginning to change color and fall to their ultimate demise on the forest floor. Oh, so holy crap, my legs are freezing right now. I don't know. It's getting cold. Perhaps that is what her friendship with Layla would end up like. A leaf that grew of flourishing but would by the end up disintegrated in the ground. No. I didn't think you'd make it before me. Serena jumped at the sudden voice, holding a hand over her heart to steady it. She let out a deep breath, giving Layla a glare like shooting daggers. Now, with both of them standing under the lampside light, she could see the apologetic look on the fox's face. Serena's face almost instantly softened. Sorry I made you wait. She was half an hour early. Come on. I didn't want to seem too eager. And you are like 29 minutes early. That's very eager. You've been pretty busy lately. and I didn't want to overwhelm you. I did show up early last time after all. I still feel bad about that. Serena quickly shook her head. If anything, she would be more upset if Layla was late than if she was early. Someone being late always led her to believe that the other wasn't showing up, that she wasn't worth their time. And Serena didn't want that heartbreak. No, I was just worried you wouldn't show up. That you were mad at me for not visiting you as much or something. At this, Layla shook her head and chuckled. She didn't want to make light of the situation, but she did find it rather amusing that both of them were worried about the other being upset with them. Even Serena was able to smile at the silliness of it now that it was out in the open. I'm glad, at least that we both did show up, and neither of us are actually mad at each other. Yeah, me too. The tenseness of the moment over, Layla nodded for the other to follow her to the park bench across the grass. The bench was overshadowed by a canopy of large oak trees, the leaves falling from them leaving a blanket of autumn in their wake. The trees thought they were large and overshadowed each other, were spaced out so far that left a ceiling of sky open overhead, where Serena could see easily now. A tapestry of stars glittered. This is what I wanted to show you. Huh? Wow! Both the fox and the rabbit sat down on the bench, about a foot apart, with their necks craned up toward the night sky. The moon was full, and it glistened like a pearl-in-the-sea of ink. Did your mother ever tell you that the craters on the moon look like a rabbit? What? Wait. What? Picture of the moon. What? I don't see it, the rabbit, honestly. Wait! If you look at this angle, actually, holy crap. Legs of the back, legs, front legs. Here goes like a head, a very little ears, and like a freaking fluff. Holy crap! Oh, she's correct. That's crazy. You know what? I need to save this. This picture. YouTube. And videos. And Lost Girl episode 4. Moon's craters look like a rabbit. It's crazy that it... Holy crap. Serena tilted her head as she looked up at the moon, pursing her lips in thought. Huh? Then, after a few moments, she smiled. Astronaut Bunny, Serena star, and I never noticed before. Oftentimes we are blind to what is around us, especially when it is about ourselves. Wait, your last name is Star? The bunny girl nodded, for neither was a fact she could deny. She was often quite scatterbrained after all, and many things would remain hidden from her due to her inability to comprehend them in the moment. But she wanted to be able to look more closely at the things, to see the things around her that she never noticed before. If she could do that, then perhaps the Novet would come to her. Just like the stars from his heart, the magician was able to weave into the night sky towards the end of the starless magician. Have you always been fond of stars? I suppose I've never disliked them. But I've grown more attached to them over the last few years.
They are so far away. Most of them actually long dead by the time we see their lights, yet they live on. They watch over us. And we can still take in their beauty. It's a rather comforting thought, don't you think?
Again, Serena nodded. But she found that she had more she wanted to say about it. But saying so, she realized would open up a personal, intense conversation.
Let's go!
She hadn't known Layla very long, but she wanted to know more about her. Yeah, we want to want more as well. Wait, we want to want more. Yeah, sure, we want to know more. She wanted to share herself with the other two, to feel connected to someone like she never had before. But was that something the other wanted?
Hell yeah!
Or did Layla just want a friend who she could enjoy the happy moments with and ignore the bad ones?
Do you often feel lonely? You know, without your parents and...
For a moment, Serena wondered if she had upset the other with her intimate question. Then Layla let out a small, thoughtful exhale. It was light, much to Serena's relief.
I suppose everyone does. Even those that are able to function more by themselves.
Scarily enough, that's the truth.
It's human nature to want company from time to time.
Then again, it also depends on the person that you are supposed to spend, that you want to spend, that you want the company of. That's what I was looking for.
To want to reach out to someone and see them reaching back.
As she said that, the fox reached her outside hand towards the stars. They were thousands of light years away, but with how bright they were, it almost felt like you could reach out and touch them. Serena did the same with her own hand. When the rabbit looked over at the other, a smile was plastered to Layla's lips, but the fox's gaze was solely on the sky.
But what if no one reaches back?
Layla's arm lowered back to her side, just as Serena's had merely a few seconds before. She looked over at Serena, that sweet and amazed smile still stitched to her lips. And she did what Serena never thought another person would do. She reached out her inner arm and took a hold of Serena's cold, frail one in her lap.
Nice!
Serena couldn't help but jump a bit in surprise.
You're reaching out, aren't ya?
For about the 5th time since they met that evening, Serena could hear herself thinking,
she's right!
Serena had reached out to Layla. She made sure to meet her at the library this week. She had made sure to message her at least once a day to make sure the other was okay, for she had forgotten that up until this moment. Holy crap. I understand that. And Layla had reached back. Fuck, I don't understand that. She had allowed the other to sit with her. I'm kidding. She had allowed, about the last part, she had allowed the other to sit with her in the library, and she always messaged back as soon as she could. And she had even paid and given her a tour of the aquarium last week, which Serena could not forget about, even if she tried, as they both were still wearing their turtle hair clips in their hair. I wish we could see that. That's like the one thing I can complain about here, okay? So far, we can't see that freaking turtle hair clip.
I am.
Ah, for fuck's sake, the braces. The bunny took the fox's hand within her own and gave it a firm squeeze. She smiled at the other, glad for her sincerity and her warmth. More than anything, she realized she wanted to be by Layla's side. To be with someone who understood and reached out to her. To be able to reach out to someone when she needed it. They both turned their heads toward the night sky, basking in its brilliance. Silently, they both promised that Just like the stars overhead, they would always reach out to one another and be light for the other to gaze upon.
That's it? What?
Serena hesitantly stepped into her history class on Monday morning. The class that 2 weeks ago she had gotten called out in for spacing out and ridiculed by the gossip girls in the back of the room before yelling and bolting out of the classroom with a panicked apology. That's right. That's what happened. Fortunately, the class only met once a week and she was able to get away with not having class last week as the teacher had called off sick.
Nice.
She wasn't much of a harsh language person, but she had cursed silently in her head right before she began her committee when she hadn't seen a message to cancel class. She really wasn't ready to face everyone, but she promised Layla that she wouldn't run away. She wasn't about to back out on that promise now, and I'm glad about that as well. As soon as she walked in, her teacher immediately gave her a look which was riddled with mixed emotions. She inhaled and exhaled a deep breath. She didn't want to open the can of worms, but she needed to discuss this if she was going to continue and pass this class.
You got this, Serena!
She mumbled quietly to herself as she shakily walked up to his desk. He raised an eyebrow at her as she did so, a clear look of surprise on his face. He definitely didn't expect someone as shy as Serena to approach him directly.
May I help you, Miss Star?
Serena gulped. Ooh, and steadied her nerves. Steadied her nerves.
Yes, it's about the class a couple of weeks ago.
The middle-aged man set a stack of papers he was holding down onto his desk and linked his fingers together over his mouth. He seemed like he was steadying himself for the conversation to follow, for he didn't say anything further until Serena spoke up.
I don't do well in front of a lot of people.
It's okay.
And I'd rather you not call me out in front of everyone. I just don't let that weight makes me too nervous and I can't focus when I'm worried about everyone's eyes on me.
The teacher lowered his hands, a look of guilt spread out over his face. He let out a sigh and bowed his head. Holy crap. It would be that easy. You could just tell them. Holy crap. No, but to be honest, like, over here in Poland, I think at least, it's a problem, like, with teachers, I guess. They do, like, lash out on you in front of everyone as well, right? For whatever reason. When I have a reason. Even if I don't have really a, like, super strong reason, but yeah, they do that. And, I mean, you do close up after that. And not only that, to be fair, I mean, it's not the experience from every freaking job or whatever, but again, from that goddamn store job I used to have, like the manager of ours or like the second in command, whatever, they would sometimes lash out at people for making even slight mistakes, like in the middle of the store. No, let's not go to the back or, you know, to our room, whatever, talk this out. But, you know, lashing out in front of customers, it's kind of shitty, not gonna lie. I mean, I had the luck, not really luck, I mean, because I wasn't doing many mistakes, to be fair. And even if I were to do some, it was easy to repair them, but, like, I can imagine that getting lashed out in front of basically people that you don't even know, right? So the customers. That must feel like shit. Anyway.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I get quite upset when a student is not listening to my lectures. when I take the time to prepare them. And I suppose I was feeling a little under the weather that day.
Serena had no idea that the teacher might also be going through a hard time like she was. I mean, of course they can. They are also people. But, I mean, I guess it... whatever. If she was in the teacher's shoes and someone wasn't listening to her while she was talking, she wouldn't know quite what she'd do either. I don't know as well. Especially if she wasn't feeling well. Serena shook her head, bowing her head in return. I mean, to be fair, it would depend. If I knew the people supposedly listening to me, I would probably not say anything. It was someone like over here, Serena, for example, right? But let's say it is someone interrupting, like... Okay, not gonna lie. Like with the freaking characteristics of being a piece of shit, basically. Well then, no holding back. Probably. Who knows? Whatever, really.
I'm sorry, dude. I was just a little handsy the other week. But I promise to do my best from here on out.
At this, the teacher smiled and nodded his head.
I expect great things from you then, Mrs. Starr.
Great. I mean, it will be good if I pass the exams.
Serena nodded, but she knew the conversation couldn't end there. She inhaled and exhaled another deep breath, and the teacher's smile faded as he realized he was in for another hard discussion.
It's about the girls, isn't it?
So you heard them gossiping about me?
Yeah, they're quite an unusual trio.
It's funny how it's always three of them.
It's true.
They are smart, always manage to keep up with schoolwork. Ugh. But they like to gossip and spread rumors. Ugh. I've heard it from more than one student.
Then why don't you stop them?
I wish it was that simple. They are daughters to high-ranking board members of the university.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Of course they are. It's always someone high. Someone's parents being high that children are piece of shit. Damn it.
To talk badly about them is to anger the higher-ups, and I could lose my job.
Okay. That's quite dicey situation.
But that's not fair. The things they say, they need to be held responsible.
I know. I promise I will do my best to speak with them. Miss Gage, Penn, and Thatcher. Holy crap. Would you please come up to my desk?
Serena looked shocked that the teacher would call on them so suddenly, but they all smiled graciously as they walked up towards his desk.
No, girls. I know you didn't mean any harm.
Oh, but we actually did.
Whatever.
But you have made Miss Starr quite upset with your words 2 weeks ago. As have I. I've already made amends. And I expect the same from you, I believe, and apologies in order from each of you.
Dude, you are supposed to be afraid of your job. We're sorry, sir. We didn't mean anything, honestly. We just got a little curious since she's new here and all.
It's university. Everyone is new there. You're on your first year. It's not like years are freaking... Wait, unless they are... Wait. Teacher, did you actually lie to me? They are not so successful and they are actually repeating this year again? How many times do you repeat this year? Oi. Student A. You're stoned. Ugh.
Yeah, honest. Sorry. We're really sorry, Serena.
Serena didn't know if the girls were actually telling the truth or not. Probably not. That is the type of character. But they seemed apologetic and the teacher seemed to believe them, so Serena accepted apologies with a nod of her head.
Please don't let this happen again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course, of course.
Later that day, teacher out of the freaking job, Serena kicked out of university.
I hope that's not going to happen.
With her relief sigh, Serena made her way to her desk and slid into her seat. She was still shaking from the confrontation, as calm as it was, but she felt so much better now that it was over and dealt with. The rest of the class went smoothly, with Serena paying as close attention as she could, and Serena felt that one conflict in her life had come to a close. At least she hoped so. Her dutiful attention during class was rewarded with a quiet dismissal from class and seeing Layla's face as soon as she left the building. She had talked multiple times about being a college student with the others, so it wasn't surprised that Layla knew where she was, as there was only one local university in Everton. It was quite a small university too, with only... that small? Holy crap. With only 3 main buildings. That's what? How is that small? Okay, my university had more buildings, that's true, but still, holy crap. Like, wait, how many floors do we have? Ground 1, 2, 3, okay, 4 floors basically. Okay, my main building was... Wait, if you enter ground floor... was also 4... Was it? Yeah, it was also 4 freaking floors. So the main building of mine, right, where I spent most of time, it was like that. I would say it was something similar to the one we see over here. It was not in the L shape, right? It was in a straight shape, so yeah. But yeah, the second main building over there would be of a completely different, area of expertise. So I did not have anything there. And it was actually super tall, like the exact opposite. Like the floor basically was not big, but it was tall as heck. I don't even know how many floors there were. And the second one was... sorry, the third one was like biology and something else. So that one was big. That was also a tall one. Oh, there was also the fourth one actually, which I've never been to. What the hell? Why am I remembering all of this stuff now? Crazy. Okay, so I guess my sort of campus, because there were like 3 of them, was already bigger than this one, but I still think that 3 main buildings is not a small freaking university. Anyway, when she had met Layla at the library last, she mentioned that her history class was in the largest one, telling her about the whole incident with her teacher and the Gossip Girls. Well, at my university you would not have the history lessons for, because it was a technical university, so yeah. So no typical history, right? Which Layla said deserved to be kicked in the teeth for being so dense and rude. To which Serena chuckled and quickly changed the subject.
Layla, you're he?
Although she was able to instantly figure out how the other had found her, and that was quite easy. She was surprised that the other would have made the effort to do so. Especially since, after Layla had discussed when they planned to meet at the convenience store, she lived an extra 10-minute walk in the other direction from her school. Wait, so Layla is not in this? I thought she would be. Interesting. Sorry. Serena rushed down the stairs to greet her, a broad smile on her face. Layla's face, which seemed to have been lost in thought, instantly brightened upon seeing Serena so pleasantly surprised right in front of her.
I would have done this sooner had I known you'd react like that.
At this, Serena chuckled again. Her cheeks lit up pink, and she dipped her head down to hide them. She playfully hit Layla softly in the arm.
I must be pretty important if you'd go out of your way to wait for me.
I mean, of course you'd wait for someone important like that.
For you, Princess Star, I'm willing to go the distance.
Serena rolled her eyes, for she was secretly flattered. Not only for the fact that the other went out of her way to meet up with her here, but also for the fact that Layla really did make it sound and feel like she was a real-life princess. Even though she was far from it in reality.
If you're ready, then I will escort you to our weekly destination.
Serena chuckled again when Layla held out an arm.
Nice.
Instantly, with a bright grin on her face, she linked hers around Layla's, and literally, arm in arm, they made their way to their next destination. We haven't been here. The bunny and the fox had found a booth in a cozy corner of the Rose Garden Cafe, the most famous coffee shop in Everton. Even at sunset, nearly dark, there were quite a few people here, with almost half the booths and tables occupied. Due to the influx in business, the cafe had extended their hours till very late into the night to appease their late-night students' caffeine cravings. Interesting. I mean, as long as you have people to work and they work in normal hours, okay? Not like extended hours of the opening is extended hours for people to work, then it's cool. I think. Then again, I mean, it's probably the students working there, right? A fact that, as Layla pointed out, meant that they had plenty of time to chat if they wanted to.
I can't believe after being here for nearly 2 months, you haven't been to this place. A month and a half. And I meant to come here, just got busy.
At that, the fox simply shrugged. It's not as she had come here to cross-examine Serena anyways. For, like Serena herself, she did want to learn more about the other and soak up as much of their time together as she could. Both of them picked up their cups, one a cup and a saucer and the other a mug, and took a sip of the drinks they ordered. Tea, of course. For me.
That's the best tea I've ever had.
Serena, good choice. It's tea. It's always tea. Serena exclaimed, looking surprising into the teacup. She had ordered a French vanilla chai, and a mix of sugar and spice in her cup melted in her mouth and warmed up every chilled bone from the outside autumn wind. It was, Serena thought to herself rather amusingly, made of sugar and spice, and everything nice indeed.
So you're more of a tea drinker?
Hell yeah. Serena instantly nodded.
My parents didn't want me getting addicted to caffeine.
I mean, if you think about it, caffeine is in also fizzy drinks and such. And if you drink energy drinks, that's a caffeine boost like crazy supposedly. I mean, I do drink energy drinks occasionally, not as much as at, I guess, university or later at that stupid sports store again. For fuck's sake, it's always that sports store. But I mean, it was 12 hours long shift, right? So yeah, kind of had to. And also after those shifts I recorded as well, so of course I had to keep myself awake somehow. Not always like that, but it did happen. So I'm not addicted, that for sure. I mean, as I said, occasionally it happens, but rarely now, really. For now it's basically water and tea. Okay, to tea I'm addicted for, yeah.
habits are a bit rambunctious if I get too much caffeine or sugar.
Oh, holy crap, that might be true.
Or chocolate.
In her head, the fox imagined a small bunch of bunny toddlers literally jumping all over the place. She definitely couldn't blame Serena's parents for that.
I wouldn't have guessed, though, that your preference is hot chocolate.
Okay. She also has good taste.
Figure you'd go for black coffee.
Ew.
Am I that much of a scrunch? Or do you say that because you think I act mature for my age?
Serena laughed. They had talked about their ages before. What? No. On one of the first days in Labyrinthe when they first met. What? Serena had just turned 19 in the spring and Layla would turn 22 next month, in mid-October.
You're 3 years older than me. You're miles more mature. I don't know about that.
I feel like I've been more mature than the others since always. And now I'm definitely not that mature. I don't know. It's weird.
You're more mature when it comes to life decisions.
Not at all.
I just sit in the basement all day reading other people's stories.
Oh, wait. Are you a NEET?
I don't make anything out of my own.
What started off as a light-hearted instantly turned to something much darker, and Layla bit her lip as she sighed.
I'm sorry. This is supposed to be a happy occasion, and yet I always ruin it with my negativity.
That is me. Not now though. I used to be like that as well. Serena instantly shook her head, as she always did when Layla was trying to bring herself down. The bunny after 2 weeks still didn't understand why the other was fighting so hard to prove herself as a terrible person. Okay, that used to be me as well, that's true. All Serena could see was the best sort of person, even if she did have a dark past or present.
I know what you're going through, what you've been through, but you're a great person, Layla. You've helped me so much. And I know you are, and can be more than you think you are. And perhaps I can help you do that.
Huh? For a moment, Layla looked stunned. She stared at Serena, then down to her cup. She sighed, again, completely perplexed as to what she should say.
I'm truly not trying to be negative, but I guess I just don't see myself the way you do. I see someone wasting their life trying to fill an empty void. And I don't see a future for someone like that.
Been there.
That's not true. You're not wasting your life. You're spending it with books, with other stories. With me. Your life is far from empty. It has gotten much brighter since you've been around. Much lighter.
Across the table, Serena smiled. And she saw the hint of a smile from Layla too, which is great news. But she could also tell there was a darkness in Layla that hadn't quite worked its way out yet. A darkness that terrified her for what it might do to both of them.
I suppose it's about time I told you. Before you managed to find out anyway.
The fox sat her, lifted back onto the marble table and looked down to the warm chocolate contents. Oh. She didn't raise her eyes to meet Serena's all the while she talked. Serena sat with her fingers wrapped tightly around her cup as if frozen in place as she listened to the other.
I never was much good at making friends. This is probably the longest one I've ever had, if you could believe it. I was, you could say, locked away from the world as a child. My parents did it to protect me because they knew the dangers I could face outside the estate's walls. Because my parents have a lot of enemies. Enemies in business, you see.
Serena tilted her head, completely confused as to what Layla was getting at. Serena had lived a boisterous life with her family in a small farmhouse in the countryside. She had never seen a place one could call an estate. She spent most of her days outside, working the gardens and playing with her little brothers in the fields. That is freaking nice. For when she had free time, she would stay inside and read for as long as she could. She couldn't remember having an enemy either, except the weather, which was always, as her mother said, unpredictable like a rebellious teenager. Holy crap, that's a good description.
Can I trust you, Serena? To keep this a secret?
Layla's bronze, intense eyes stared into the others. They are purple. They are purple eyes. But it wasn't in anger or insistence. It was in desperation. It was like she was begging Serena to trust her, to listen to her till the end without judgment. With total sincerity and openness, Serena nodded. So Layla continued with a small note, her face overshadowed by the citrine light fixture above their heads.
I grew up in an estate, what someone from here or the country would probably call a mansion. Few estates actually have a considerably larger amount of land, gardens, and such. And, anyways, my parents, the Raylands, forced me to stay inside the estate's manor all the times. They're quite wealthy, and lots of people would like to get a hand or any of their assets. So they locked up their biggest asset, their only child, inside their home and left her behind to go on numerous overseas business tours, adventures.
Sounds like not a good solution.
Left her to be protected by only maids and gardeners.
Okay. But what if them would try to backstab? Oh, sorry. Late night, right? Serena now could definitely imagine the loneliness Layla must have felt, being locked up inside a giant house for so long. Serena herself couldn't even imagine a house that large, let alone living in a house that large without her family. And she understood, too, why Layla wanted to go on adventures which her parents had left her out of growing up. But adventures Serena knew were definitely no fun alone.
I don't tell people I'm the Raylands heir, because you never know who you can trust.
And Serena is probably like,
who's Raylands? Once they know you're the heir to a millionaire, well, most people try to milk you for all you're worth. And if they don't, then they run away, scared of what being involved with someone of such high upbringing could mean for them. They see you as a title and not as a person.
The story Layla was telling her was heartbreaking. She couldn't imagine all the times Layla tried to reach out to people, how many times people ran from her or betrayed her trust. All because of her parents, the one fact she couldn't control.
I began to alienate from people after a while, tired of being abused and left behind. Once I became a full-grown adult, and nothing bad had happened to me, my parents allowed me to basically do whatever I wanted, assuming it wouldn't look bad upon their enterprise. But I had no idea what I can do, what I should do. How am I supposed to make a choice when all my choices have been made for me?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of true over here. She's been thrown in really deep and tough waters. From basically being, well, as you said, all the decisions being made by her parents, to suddenly, yeah, you can go whatever you want now. That must be really tough.
How am I supposed to live for myself? I'm surrounded by everything, and yet I'm empty, and I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to run from me too.
Serena could feel her heart breaking for the other. This girl, who she had only known for 2 weeks, and yet felt as if she was glued to her. She didn't want to imagine a life without Layla in it. Without second-guessing herself, Serena reached out a hand and caressed Layla's worried cheek. Tears filled both their eyes.
You're not just a title.
Huh?
You love books. You love hot chocolates, probably. You love to go on adventures. You're warm. You're kind. You're a Layla. You're full of things of life.
Yeah?
Even if you can't see it in yourself. Even if you never see it, then I'll see it for you, okay? Who could run from all of that?
Even Serena herself was surprised she had something. She said something so heartfelt that she had reached out to the other without a second thought. But she couldn't deny how soft the other's skin was. How warm, how much she hoped that the other could see how amazing every part of her was.
Serena, you're too good to me.
Layla gripped the other's hand over her cheek firmly and leaned into the feeling, closing her eyes. For a few moments, the two just lingered in the warmth of each other's company and support. But then Serena chuckled, bringing Layla out of the moment.
What? No, nothing. It's just Rayland. You definitely have a more princessy name than I do. And you're practically royalty too. Well, about as much as you can be.
Layla smiled sincerely at the other, giving the other's hand an affectionate squeeze, which made Serena jump slightly in surprise.
But you're the one with the royal heart. Oh, a princess in every way that matters.
She smiled, not understanding how the other could be so kind to her and yet so hard on herself. But the bunny girl also understood what it was like to doubt yourself, to see the worst in yourself. Serena herself did it on a daily basis. But together she thought they just might be able to bring out the best in each other.
On that note, I've got an idea.
Confused Layla let the other hand drop so that she could explain without being distracted. Serena was a bit sad at the loss of warmth, but she was on such a high she put it out of her mind.
Next time we meet, I'm going to give you a grand evening. An evening unlike any you've ever seen. At least I hope. If it's an adventure with you, Princess Serena, it's bound to be extraordinary.
For the conversation took a much darker turn than either of them expected, they managed to end the evening on a warm note. They chattered lightly about their everyday lives, sipping on their second cups of tea and hot chocolate in the hopes that it would never run out and they could sit and chat under the fluorescent lights forever. And maybe they will do that, who knows, we'll find out in the next episode. That was heartwarming. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll continue tomorrow, of course. Hope to see you there. Have a wonderful day. Over and out. Yeah. Bye bye.